In today's video, we're diving into a topic that's more important than ever, the 10 foods you need to stockpile now. Whether you're preparing for emergencies, aiming to save money, or just want peace of mind, having the right essentials on hand can make all the difference. But not all foods are created equal. Some last longer, provide more nutrition, and are easier to store than others. That's why we've done the research to bring you the ultimate list of must-have items for your pantry. From versatile staples to nutrient-packed powerhouses, these foods will keep you and your family prepared for anything life throws your way. So grab a notebook, hit that like button, and let's get started on building a stockpile that's smart, sustainable, and stress-free. 1. Sweeteners, a glimmer of vitality in the dark. Picture this. The power's out for the 5th day. Your house is colder than you'd like to admit, and you've been living off bland, basic survival rations. Everything tastes like cardboard, and morale is scraping the bottom of the barrel. Then, you reach for your stash of sweeteners. Sugar, honey, perhaps even some maple syrup you wisely stored away, and suddenly, the gloom lifts, just a little. Sweeteners are not just a luxury item, they're a strategy for survival. When times are grim, a spoonful of sweetness can keep despair at bay. Think it's exaggerated? Imagine feeding a child in a crisis without anything to mask the bitterness of limitations. Sweeteners make even the most basic food palatable, allowing you to stretch your resources without having to force down barely edible meals. More than morale, sweeteners can act as functional energy boosters. When the grid's down and exhaustion hits from endless physical labor, tending your makeshift garden, hauling water, or fortifying your home, a quick dose of sugar or honey can give you the jolt you need to push forward. Honey, in particular, is a prepper's holy grail. Not only does it last indefinitely if stored correctly, but also has medicinal properties. Wounds? Honey can dress them. Cough or sore throat? Honey is your healer. Ignore the sweeteners and you're not just losing flavor, you're sacrificing versatility. Now imagine a world in which sugar is a rare commodity, prices skyrocketing, or shelves barren. This isn't fantasy, it's a haunting preview. If you don't stockpile sweeteners now, you might never get another chance when desperation sets in. A stash of sweetness might make the psychological difference between holding on and giving up. Trust me, you'll need every edge you can find. 2. Pasta, the pillar of sustenance. When the shelves run empty and meals become a question of survival rather than taste, pasta will be one of the first things you'll regret not having in abundance. Cheap, versatile, and non-perishable pasta lies at the heart of any survival food stockpile. And make no mistake, its importance cannot be overstated. Store-bought pasta in its dehydrated form is a marvel. It lasts years without losing quality, and its uses are practically endless. A hearty, filling meal is just some water and heat away, assuming you've thought far enough ahead to stock up. You'll want variety, spaghetti, penne, macaroni, but any shape of this humble carb can carry you through the darkest of times. Pasta is efficient, it's lightweight, compact, and most critically, calorie-dense. A small serving packs enough energy to get you through grueling days. Add whatever sauce or protein you can scrounge up, and you've got a meal that could revive your spirit. But here's the thing about pasta. It doesn't grow on trees. You can't just whip it up in your post-collect backyard garden. Sure, there's homemade pasta, but that requires eggs and oils, perishables that won't last when the systems we rely on crumble. This is why store-bought pasta must become your lifeline. And don't just toss it on a shelf and assume it will endure forever. Plan for its long-term survival. Invest in vacuum sealing or store it in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. Take these precautions now while you still can, because soon shelf life may be the difference between you eating or going hungry. Picture years from now, the world unrecognizable, your neighbors fighting over scraps. You, however, pull a bag of pasta from your stash and cook up a warm, hearty dish. That bag is not just food, it's security, dignity, and strength. Can you really afford to be without it? For me, dry beans and lentils, unmatched nutrition for survival. Out of all the foods to stockpile, dry beans and lentils are perhaps the most indispensable. Protein is non-negotiable in survival scenarios. It is the fuel that keeps your body functioning, repairing itself, and staying alive. And when most fresh proteins, meats, eggs, dairy, have rotted away or become unfeasible, beans and lentils will be your anchor. These little legumes are powerhouses. Packed with protein, fiber, and other essential nutrients, they are more than just food. They are a way to keep your body working through extreme hardship. Versatility is another ace up their sleeve. From soups to stews to simple plates of beans and rice, you can transform them into a host of filling and satisfying meals. Beans have long been prized in survival stockpiles because of their near limitless shelf life. Store them properly in a cool, dark place, use Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, and these can last decades. Lentils, with their quicker cook time and equal nutritional value, are an excellent complement to beans. Unlike many hard red or black beans, which must soak for hours before cooking, lentils can be ready in a fraction of the time, an invaluable trait when fuel or heat is scarce. But the clock is ticking. Right now, stores are stocked with bags of beans and lentils seemingly collecting dust on the shelves. It's easy to ignore them, to think later, but later could be too late. The moment things collapse, those unassuming bags will become one of the most sought-after commodities. Consider this grim scenario. Your food supply runs dangerously low, and the days stretch into weeks. Your loved ones are weak and hungry, their bodies crying out for sustenance beyond empty calories. A pot of lentils or beans could mean the difference between a body full of strength or one on the verge of collapse. Stockpile as much as you can, because when the hard times come, beans and lentils won't just feed you. They'll sustain your will to endure. Or rice, hope in every grain. Imagine this. The chaos has hit. Supermarkets have turned into battlegrounds, their aisles empty, shelves stripped bare by desperate hands. The luxuries of choice and convenience are long gone. Meals become monotonous, repetitive, built around whatever scraps you can find. And yet, in the midst of this, if you've stockpiled rice, you still hold a lifeline. Rice is a miracle food. Its versatility is unmatched. Stir fries, soups, casseroles, or even turned into flour if resources demand it. Rice can adapt to almost every meal plan. It stretches whatever ingredients you have, bulking up small portions of meat, fish, or vegetables into filling meals. And when the world collapses, calories are currency. Rice, calorie-dense and satisfying, will give you more sustenance per serving than most other foods. But here's the grim reality. Rice is becoming more expensive every day. Inflation, weather disruptions, and supply chain issues are slowly raising its cost. Today, it's a budget-friendly staple. Tomorrow, it could be a luxury. That's if you can find it at all. The wealthy hoard as much as they can, and what's left will be fought over by the masses. Rice has a long shelf life when stored correctly. Keep it dry, seal it in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, and it can last for decades. Buy it while you can. If you wait, you may find yourself scavenging for even a handful of grains to keep yourself and your family fed. Trust me, the mental relief of knowing there's rice in your supply is worth every penny spent today. The thought of not having it, of staring at your loved ones with no way to stave off their hunger, that is a nightmare you don't want to live. 5. Peanut butter, protein in a jar. Scarcity changes everything, especially how we think about food. When fresh meats and dairy disappear, you'll start craving something you likely take for granted right now: protein. Without it, your body will start to weaken. Your muscles will fade, your energy will drain, and healing from the inevitable bumps and scrapes of a survival scenario will slow to a crawl. And that's where peanut butter comes in. Peanut butter is one of the most efficient survival foods to stockpile. Rich in protein, calories, and healthy fats, it's compact, easy to store, and filling. Just a spoonful can give you the boost you need to push through another tough day. It demands no preparation, no cooking. You open the jar, scoop it out, and eat. It's simplicity at its finest, and in dire times, simplicity matters. Think about how easy it is to lose energy when stress consumes you. You'll be on edge, every moment filled with tension. Peanut butter gives you a quick, reliable energy source to keep going. It's also long-lasting. Sealed jars can last at least 2 years and often longer if stored properly. But don't just stock up on regular peanut butter. The powdered version is a game changer. Lighter to store and even longer-lasting, peanut butter powder can be rehydrated when needed or used as a cooking ingredient when conflict arises, and it will arise. Small comforts will become monumental. That creamy, nutty taste of peanut butter is a morale booster in every sense of the word. You may scoff now, thinking it's not essential, but I urge you to imagine a barren pantry without it. Those who think they can survive on just beans and rice are in for a rude awakening. Protein is non-negotiable, and waiting to stockpile peanut butter or its powdered counterpart is a risk you can't afford to take. Prepare now, because the moment that first jar runs out, desperation will set in, and I promise you, desperation is a dangerous place to be. 6. Lards, oils, and fats, the forgotten necessity. It's easy to forget about fats when building a survival stockpile. They're not as glamorous or immediately thrilling as canned goods or dried rice, but forget them and you'll discover just how essential they truly are. Fats are critical, not just for cooking, but for staying alive. Energy, flavor, texture. Fat brings them all to the table. To neglect them would be a mistake you would live to regret, if you live long enough to regret it. Think about what happens when you're left with nothing but dry, bland food. It's hard to swallow. Harder still to find the energy to keep eating day after day. Cooking becomes almost impossible without fats. Baking, forget about it. Frying or sautéing, not a chance. Fats are what bridge the gap between survival and sustenance, transforming a bare-bones meal into something you can stomach or even enjoy in times when joy is a blug. Just blug. Lards like Crisco or old-school pork lard are survival champions. They're stable, long-lasting, and don't spoil quickly like many cooking oils. Stored in a cool, dark place, they can last for years. Oils like olive or vegetable oil are also vital, although they don't have the same shelf life as lard. Even so, they are invaluable when it comes to cooking or simply adding much-needed calories to your meals. The days are coming when you'll have to make something out of nothing. Without fats, even basic meals will be an uphill battle. And it's not just about flavor. Your body needs fat to survive. It's an essential nutrient. Without it, you'll begin to see the toll life takes in a hungry, restless world. The most terrifying part? Fats are often overlooked by most preppers. You could stockpile every bean, every grain of rice, every scoop of peanut butter out there, but if you forget fats, you're leaving an essential piece of the puzzle behind. Act now before it's too late. This is about more than just storage. It's about strategy. Without fats, your odds drop. Simple as that. 7. Salt, the element of survival. It's easy to forget about salt. It's so common, so ordinary, that it just blends into the background until it's gone. Imagine for a moment what happens when access to salt disappears. It's not just about bland food, although the thought of flavorless, lifeless meals day after day is grim enough. The loss of salt goes deeper than taste. Salt is a necessity, critical to your body's function and resilience. Without it, you'll start to weaken. You'll lose energy, become dehydrated, and spiral into a state you can't bounce back from. But it doesn't stop at bodily needs. Salt is the backbone of survival cooking. For any kind of long-term food preparation, you'll need it. Whether it's seasoning meat, preserving food, or fermenting vegetables to stretch your supplies further, you cannot function without it. Processed foods might have spoiled us into forgetting just how much salt does for us, but in a survival scenario where most of your meals come from scratch, the absence of salt is a disaster. Now picture a world where the salt supply is dried up, where shelves are barren, and the price of a single pound of salt has gone stratospheric if it's even available at all. This isn't just fear-mongering, it's a very real possibility, and you don't want to be the person left mixing bland ingredients with nothing to make them even remotely palatable. Stockpile salt now. Get bags of it, jars of it, whatever you can. It's cheap for now, but don't take that for granted. Salt doesn't expire when stored properly, which means there is no excuse not to have an abundance of it ready. Trust me, when the day comes where others are desperate for even a pinch, you'll be grateful you prepared. 8. Cornmeal and flour, the building blocks of survival. When provisions run low and the comfort of variety in food disappears, the ability to make something simple, filling, and wholesome becomes a luxury you'll cling to. That's where cornmeal and flour come in. These humble ingredients hold the power to transform scarcity into survival, offering you the foundation for bread, pancakes, dumplings, or any number of cooked staples. Without them, every meal becomes monotonous and grim, an unrelenting reminder of what you lack. Of the two, cornmeal has the clear edge for long-term storage. Unlike flour, which has a tendency to go rancid due to its higher oil content, fine-ground cornmeal can last far longer when properly stored. Packed into Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, it can sit on your shelves for years, waiting for the day it's needed. But don't dismiss flour altogether. Even if its time is shorter, it's versatile and critical for baking or thickening, making it a must-have in any long-term survival plan. Think this is overkill? Imagine running out of both cornmeal and flour. Your ability to make anything from scratch vanishes. Bread, biscuits, even the simple act of thickening a stew becomes near impossible. And while you think you can live without bread or baked goods now, the brutal monotony of survival eating will change your mind quick. Meals lose their form, variety drops, and soon enough, everyone around you is trying to choke down the same slop day after day. A simple loaf of bread? That becomes a miracle, a break from the despair of sameness. The price of grains and flours is climbing steadily, and once shelf-stable food supplies are swallowed up in the panic of a collapsing system, you'll be lucky to find even the dregs left behind. Stock up now. Buy cornmeal in bulk, stored in a temperature-controlled room, rotating it out as needed, and always have a backup plan to replenish it as the situation allows. These two ingredients hold more power than most people realize, but you won't regret knowing that when they become all you have to work with. 9. Canned meats, life-sustaining protein. The thought of a food shortage is horrifying enough, but a lack of protein? That is disastrous on every level. Your body needs protein to sustain itself, to heal from injuries, to keep your muscles working. When every activity turns into a physical grind, it's not just optional, it's an absolute requirement. And in a world where refrigeration may become a luxury of the past, canned meats are some of the only ways to ensure you have the protein your body needs. Store-bought canned meats are lifesavers. Chicken, tuna, beef, whatever you can get your hands on, it's invaluable when fresh options disappear. These cans don't just provide protein, they offer variety, a break from the endless cycle of grains and beans. They have long shelf lives, require no refrigeration, and are ready whenever you need them. Canned meats mean less time spent cooking and more energy saved for other survival tasks. Then, there's home canned meat. If you have the equipment and the skills, start now. Home canning not only cuts costs, but also allows you to stockpile greater quantities tailored to your taste and requirements. Chicken, fish, venison, it's all on the table if you're willing to put in the time and effort. But don't wait too long. Equipment is already becoming harder to find, and the knowledge of how to can is fading in an age where convenience has taken over practicality. When the system collapses, those who know how to can their own food will be light years ahead of those trying to figure it out as chaos unfurls. Protein fatigue is a real thing. If you rely solely on plant-based proteins, however versatile, you'll hit a breaking point. Your body will crave something more substantial, more satisfying, and you need to be prepared for that reality. Canned meats allow you to maintain your strength and endurance, qualities that could determine whether you stand a chance or not. Stock plenty because one day they might just save your life. 10. Canned fruits and vegetables. The last taste of normalcy. When fields lie untended and the produce aisles become wastelands, fresh fruits and vegetables will no longer be an easy option. Sure, they've never been glamorous. They're just there, dependable, and always within reach, until they're not. But imagine this future. A diet reduced to starches and proteins, monotonous and draining, with nothing to balance or brighten your meals. Now, picture cracking open a can of peaches, their syrupy sweetness hitting your tongue like some distant memory of abundance. Imagine stirring some green beans into a broth or adding canned tomatoes to beans and rice. That simple act of variety suddenly becomes a source of comfort, morale, and even survival. Canned fruits and vegetables are more than just food. They're variety and desperation, nutrition when your body is screaming for balance. Yes, they may lack the full punch of fresh produce, but something is infinitely better than nothing when nutrients become harder and harder to come by. They can add color, flavor, just enough vitamins to stave off the physical deterioration that comes with a diet of monotony. You can boil them down, mash them into sauces, or eat them cold if it comes to that. They're flexible when everything else feels like limitations closing in around you. And don't be fooled into thinking the supply of canned fruits and vegetables will outlast other staples. It won't. By the time your mind registers the true value of these humble cans, they'll already be gone from store shelves. You'll be left with nothing but the memory of what it felt like to hold on to even the faintest taste of normalcy. Take action now. Stock them high, pack them deep, because when the world is stripped of color and taste, you'll be clinging to every bite. Don't find yourself wishing you had acted before it was too late. 11. Spices, the savior of sanity. If you think bland food is a small problem, you've never faced true desperation. Day after day of tasteless, textureless meals will crush your spirit faster than the grind of survival itself. You'll eat, sure, because you must, but that's all it will be, a mechanical act of staying alive, devoid of joy or satisfaction. This is why spices, those tiny jars you pass by in the grocery store without a second thought, become absolute treasures in times of crisis. Cinnamon, chili powder, dried herbs, garlic powder. Each one tells a story of meals past, of comfort and culture, of warmth and flavor. Without them, even the hardest preparation of rice and beans turns to something dull. With them, you can protect one of the most fragile parts of survival, your morale. A day, you'll need to convince yourself or someone you love to eat food that otherwise feels impossible to choke down. Spices turn that desperation into possibility. But of course, spices play another role, preservation. Salt is key, yes, but other spices can work wonders in creating marinades or rubs that help extend the life of proteins or vegetables. These practical applications go hand in hand with the psychological ones. Spices don't just make food bearable, they help make survival sustainable in every sense of the word. Now picture the fallout of ignoring this advice. Imagine running out of everything but rice or beans, forcing it down your throat each day until even hunger starts to lose its power to drive you. You'll curse your past self for not grabbing a few small jars, for not sealing those life-saving seasonings in vacuum packs or airtight containers. You'll realize then what you didn't know all along. Those little bursts of flavor could have been your secret weapon, keeping your will intact when everything else felt unbearable.